Mayday, Mayday, the international distress signal and cry for help. Mayday also happens to be the 1st of May, less than 3 weeks away. How apt. You use the Mayday distress call when you're crying out for urgent help. And, well, the Australian economy is crying out for urgent help right now. Salaries have been slashed, jobs have been lost. People who never before thought they would ever join a dole queue are lining up outside Centrelink. Businesses are shutting their doors. Tenants are cynically refusing to pay their rent. Companies are lining up to claim a 30 or a 50% loss so that they can fleece the taxpayer. It's capitalism in reverse, and we are staring at an economic meltdown. A month ago on this show, I pleaded with the government to take urgent action to reduce large crowds and enforce social distancing in order to prevent the exponential spread of the coronavirus. I give the government full credit for the speed and success of that venture. It worked. Job well done. In a moment, we'll be chatting to leading American professor of medicine, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, who challenges the conventional wisdom about just how dangerous this virus is or is not. But at this point in time, the real Mayday, the real SOS, is for our economic future. The government has gone far beyond what I or many others envisaged in terms of hibernating the economy. Far too far, I would say, although, of course, I do understand the principle of preparing for the worst-case scenarios. But you have to do it with a sense of proportion. Rita has already brilliantly detailed the authoritarian overreach, but the economic overreach is every bit as terrifying. We simply cannot destroy people's lives, livelihoods, investment strategies, families, hopes and dreams, and long-term prosperity in the way we are doing. And I shouldn't have to repeat the warning that so-called deaths of despair, whether through suicide, poverty, homelessness, loneliness, the cold, and so on, can all be the direct result of high unemployment and economic hardship. Recessions kill too. If by the end of this month the flattening of the coronavirus curve has been maintained, Australia must quickly start getting back to work. Carefully, sure, and cleverly too. Perhaps in different parts of the nation or states, perhaps in different sections of the economy. With social distancing restrictions continuing, absolutely. But May the 1st must be our goal to start reopening Australia. The lovies will all say, oh, don't ease the restrictions too soon. But of course, they all have steady jobs and aren't facing financial ruin. We must rapidly rebuild our economy so that we are stronger and more resilient than before, not weaker. We must not allow our children to ever be put in this vulnerable position again. Personally, I believe that the majority of Australians are smart and responsible enough, give or take the odd buffhead, to understand that by continuing with social distancing and other measures after the shops and businesses reopen, we are saving and preserving jobs. Mayday. Stick it in your calendar, Scott. Let's get back to work from May the 1st.
Mayday! Mayday! Mayday!
Mayday, what the hell is that?
Mayday? Why, that's the Russian New Year. You know, we'll have a big parade and we'll serve hot hors d'oeuvres.
Now, we've chatted on this show before about the various ideas to make China pay for its negligence and responsibility for the global disaster of COVID-19. The Spectator Australia's Terry Barnes and Professor David Flint have both separately called for a huge reparations bill to be sent to China, to Xi Jinping himself, preferably. Well, there's one easy way to make China pay. In light of the success of social distancing, there's a new concept floating around: economic distancing. I'm indebted to Palki Sharma from India's WIO news network for informing us that the Japanese government has responded to, or indeed retaliated against, China for the virus crisis with a $3 billion scheme encouraging Japanese companies to economically distance themselves from China, subsidising them to move their factories back to Japan, or indeed to move them anywhere but China. Last year, because of Trump's trade war, some 50 American companies have already exited China, and it is expected now that many more will do so out of the need to protect and diversify their supply chains. We must do the same. After all, it's not as if there aren't plenty of other countries on our doorstep who would love to have our business. India, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia. Tony Abbott has long been saying the answer to the China problem is for us to get closer to India and Japan. China chose to unleash this mayhem by covering up and arresting those doctors who warned about it right at the beginning, and then lying to the world about how contagious it is. China, despite years of urging, still allows the repulsive Wuhan and other wet markets to continue, knowing that this allows bat viruses and other diseases, contagions, to spread to humans. Social distancing is helping protect us from the coronavirus. Economic distancing sounds like just the ticket to help protect ourselves from that other deadly Chinese pathogen, communism.